before we start our conversation. Thank you so much.
Happy to do that. First of all, let me give a thank you to all for your commitment to the environment. I think maybe Mark from the guy here knows that way back in the 80s I wrote the first climate bill, and that didn't go very far. We had raised consciousness, but didn't go very far. And we begin by saying it is the existential threat to humanity. That's not hyperbole. And you got a chance to speak to our former Secretary of State, John Kerry, who is as passionate about this as anybody in the world, for real. He's been going around the world trying to make sure that we keep the kind of commitment that G28. At any rate, there's a long way to go, but we're running some obstacles that I'm going to need your help on in terms of individuals as well as circumstances. But I'll get to that a little bit later. And please thank you for doing this. You know, it's great to be in this group again. An awful lot of you here support the campaign throughout and with me throughout the first year and a half or so of my administration. The climate crisis is the existential threat. It's not hyperbole, it's a fact. We don't keep to 1.5 degrees Celsius, warming, and we're going to have our kids, our grandchildren will never forgive us. The world will change. I mean, the literal sense will change. And before we begin the discussion, I have two quick points. One, clean energy is a double-edged sword to deal with the climate crisis. Actually, it's not being a double-edged, it's a triple-edged sword. We think of it in positive terms. When I had, years ago, when I was taken to the hospital with an aneurysm, the doctor was explaining to me what was going through, whether it's environmental or congenital. And I said, Doc, I don't need to know. It's going to be okay. Keep it out there to me. And he looked at me and said, your problem, Senator, is you're a congenital optimist. Well, in this job, you have to be. I was the kid in Iraq. The country's never going to be more optimistic than its president. And I am optimistic. But there are three things we can deal with at the same time. Climate crisis, consumer costs, and national security. They're not illogical if we look at the right way. That are compatible. That's why we have to pass the provisions in my Build Back America plan. In advance of our aggressive climate goals, we cut costs for families an average of $500 a year. It's not something that anybody at this table knows about, but as my dad used to say, when everything, the price of gasoline and heating your home rose up, it's a subject that energy. It's real. And so that's why my proposal advances aggressive climate goals on tax credits to weatherized homes and businesses, doubling America's solar, wind, and other energy, lowering the price of electric vehicles, and much more. And in addition, the Russia-Ukraine is another reason why we have to get off our dependency on fossil fuels. Imagine where we'd be right now if, in fact, Europe was, energy-free of fossil fuels, and we were in a situation where it was all renewables in the world. And so we have to get off the dependency on fossil fuels. Subject matter I've spoken over, 75 to 100 times over the last 4 months trying to keep NATO together in the EU. I mean, literally, not figuratively. Meaning both here and there. And the dependence of Europe on fossil fuels is way exceeds any dependence we have. And so it's not an immediate solution to the crisis, but it's all about the future if we really change the fossil fuel dependency. Second thing, I'm going to continue to take executive action where I can. Of course, overrule me a couple of minutes, but we created a climate office in the White House to carry out the whole of government effort to deal with climate. I've signed executive orders ranging from the most ambitious fuel economy standards for cars and trucks to taking on superfluorinated hydrofluorocarbons, and we're going to continue to be aggressive on the executive front as well. Third thing is we have to continue to catalyze private investment and bring everybody along, which you all know much more about that than the vast majority of Americans. And the infrastructure law is going to take us a long way. For example, we are going to provide 500,000 charging stations for electric vehicles. That is motivating both utilities, car companies, and states to invest their own money in deploying these chargers as well. Ford and General Motors are making historic investments in electric vehicles. GM says they will be 100% electric vehicles by 2035. Ford says by 2030, 50% of all the vehicles. And this proves we can deal with climate and crisis and jobs, which creates a lot of jobs. The law also is going to help us build more climate resilience to deal with record wildfires, floods, droughts, and other ways to get private sector into the game. I have gone almost every major climate crisis we've had in the last year and a half. You know, you all know, but more land is burned in the ground, including the buildings and forests, than the entire square footage of New Jersey in the West and primarily. And, you know, we've had climate resilience to deal with floods and droughts as well. You know, another hurricane hit in Louisiana, they had 79 mile winds. More people died in Queens from flooding than they died in that hurricane. Because not enough rain visitors, people went to their basements because of tornadoes and rain. When it's in the rain, they flooded the basements, couldn't get out and die. And so, you know, it's another way to get the private sector in as well. Every place I go, the private sector is wanting to talk about what they can do and what they want to work with to get done. And by the way, that brings everyone in. Labor unions, urban, rural, and tribal communities as well. And our young people, this is their generational cause. And so that's the coalition we need to put together. Business, labor, and including tribal communities. I'm just a whole generation of young people who are, as if my daughter is a social worker. She runs a lot of boys and girls clubs. Anyway, they called her tonight, told her I love her, and her father-in-law is ill. And she said, Dad, we're talking about climate, right? We're talking about climate. And Dad is talking about climate. So the coalition we need to bring together is going to need your help. And there's a lot more to say, but rather than that, since I have a call with a foreign leader, most of me about 8:40, the latest, why don't we get on with what they want to do and tell me here what they're saying. And so that's what's going
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Peter, we talk about climate change. You won't be surprised to learn that there's a group of 2 different